There are nights that never truly end. After Kate vanished, sleep became impossible for Zayan. Every creak of the house, every whisper of the wind felt like a message meant only for him. Hollow Hills was quiet during the day, a picture of peaceful, small-town life. But at night, the silence felt alive, heavy with unspoken secrets. It watched him. As he walked the deserted streets, lights in the houses would flicker off just as he passed. Curtains in windows would twitch, then freeze as if someone had been peering out, only to pull back at the last second. Someone was always watching. But Zayan noticed something else, something far more chilling than the moving shadows. It was the way people acted, or rather the way they didn't. No one asked how Kate was doing, no one offered to help search. The sheriff's office had filed a report, but their inquiries felt hollow, procedural. It was as if her disappearance had already been accepted by the town, as if it was expected. This town didn't just have secrets. It had rules, and Zayan was beginning to realize he didn't know a single one of them. The next morning, driven by a desperate need for answers, Zayan returned to the town library. The same musty scent of dust-covered books filled the air, the same soft, flickering glow from the old oil lamps cast long shadows across the room. But this time, something was different. He wasn't alone. An old man stood near the exit, his back to the door. He was a longtime resident of Hollow Hills, one of the few faces Zayan recognized. He was one of the few who hadn't looked away, who hadn't shut their door when Zayan ran through the streets that first night, screaming Kate's name until his voice was raw. Zayan remembered him clearly. The old man had watched silently from his doorstep, his eyes filled not with the fear that gripped everyone else, but with a deep, unsettling pity. Now, he stood near the shelves, pretending to read a leather-bound book, but his posture was rigid, his attention clearly fixed on Zayan. He was waiting. As Zayan walked past him, heading towards the local history section, the man spoke, his voice a low whisper that barely disturbed the library's silence. He didn't even look up from his book. "She's not the first, you know." Zayan stopped, his heart pounding in his chest. He turned, but the man kept his gaze fixed on the page. Zayan took a step closer. "What do you mean?" The old man finally looked up, his eyes darting towards the librarian's desk before meeting Zayan's. He leaned in, his voice trembling with a fear that seemed ancient. "This town, it doesn't forgive sympathy." Then his tone shifted, becoming almost a plea. "Stop digging. Curiosity doesn't bring answers here. It brings replacements." Before Zayan could process the warning, before he could ask another question, the old man stepped back. Fear flooded his face, a raw terror, as if he had already said far too much. He quickly placed the book back on the shelf and hurried out of the library, leaving Zayan standing alone in the echoing silence. By the next day, the old man was gone. Zayan went to his house, the one he remembered from that first terrible night. But a new family was moving in, a young couple with a child who laughed as they carried boxes inside. They looked at Zayan with blank confusion when he asked about the old man who lived there. They said they'd bought the house months ago, that it had been empty. No one in town remembered him. Not his name, not his house, not his existence. It was as if he'd been erased, not just from the town, but from memory itself. And Zayan understood the message with chilling clarity. The old man hadn't vanished by accident. He had paid the price for caring. It was Elena who found Zayan that evening. He was standing at the edge of the woods, where the neat houses of Hollow Hills thinned out, and the trees grew unnaturally close, their branches twisting together to form a dark, impenetrable wall. She approached quietly, her steps barely making a sound on the dry leaves. She didn't ask if he was okay. She didn't offer empty words of comfort. She just stood beside him, watching the woods as the sun began to set. Zayan, his voice hoarse with a mix of fear and frustration, told her about the old man in the library, about his warning, about his impossible disappearance. He expected shock or maybe disbelief. Instead, Elena just looked at him, her gaze steady, as if she wasn't surprised at all. "You found the records?" she said, her voice soft but firm. It wasn't a question. "The ones they don't want anyone to see." Zayan froze, his blood running cold. How could she know? He had only just started looking. Elena explained quietly, her words painting a grim picture that mirrored his own growing fears. Her father had disappeared 13 years ago. The same pattern, the same suffocating silence from the townsfolk, the same swift collective amnesia. She had been watching Hollow Hills ever since, a silent observer in her own home, waiting for someone else to finally notice the cracks in the town's facade. "I know where they meet," she said, her eyes fixed on the darkening woods. But not when, for the first time since Kate vanished, Zayan felt a flicker of something he thought he had lost forever: hope. Over the following days, Zayan and Elena became an unlikely team, united by their shared loss and a burning need for the truth. They worked in secret, poring over old maps of the town and the surrounding forest, deciphering strange symbols carved into the bark of ancient trees, and piecing together hidden paths that weren't on any official record. Every clue, every whispered rumor, everything pointed toward one terrifying truth. Hollow Hills wasn't cursed by some supernatural force. It was controlled. By whom and for what purpose, they still didn't know, but they were getting closer. But while Zayan was consumed by the search for his sister, Elena was fighting a different battle, one within herself. Each night, after leaving Zayan, she would walk beyond the town limits, into the deep, oppressive darkness of the woods. Each night, she would stand at the edge of a clearing and whisper into the shadows, reporting on their progress. "He trusts me," she'd say, the words feeling like ash in her mouth. What Zayan didn't know, what he couldn't possibly imagine, was that Elena had already sent her report. Every detail of his investigation, every one of his fears, every step he planned to take next. She was a spy, born and raised by the very people who maintained the town's horrific order. But something was changing inside her. The lines were blurring. She no longer felt like a loyal soldier protecting her home. She felt like a traitor to the people who had raised her, yes, but more acutely, a traitor to Zayan. The more time she spent with him, the more she saw his fierce determination and his unwavering love for his sister, the more she questioned everything she had ever been taught. And worse, much worse, she was falling for the one person she was supposed to lead into a trap. In Hollow Hills, the truth is a dangerous weapon, but the lies are often the only way to survive. And for Elena, those lies were becoming a prison of their own. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next chapter of this chilling story.